This is CNN Breaking News.
And we're following the breaking news. President Trump saying he is now doubling the tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel as markets reel for a second day in a row. The Dow Jones down now. Take a look at this. You see the Dow is way down, getting close to 600 points now, 622 points down right now, 622. It's all fueled by the enormous uncertainty over the president's trade war. Joining us now, CNN White House reporter Elena Treen. Elena is joining us, and CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich is in New York. She's joining us as well. Elena, let me start with you. What is the White House saying, first of all, about this latest escalation in tariffs involving our closest neighbor and good friend, Canada?
Well, Wolf, we really saw the president just moments ago with this post on social media really just ramp up some of that uncertainty and threats to Canada. I note as well that this comes just days after Canada selected a new leader for the Liberal Party. We are going to see them have a new prime minister soon, someone who has said that he wants to continue what Justin Trudeau has been doing. But I want to get into what the president said. He said that in response to the Premier of Ontario placing a 25% tariff on electricity in certain states, that he is going to be responding, as you mentioned, with increasing tariffs on steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%. He also argued that those are going to go into effect starting tomorrow morning. He also said he would soon be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. And he went on to say that if he does not like what Canada does, if he does not like how they respond, he will significantly increase tariffs on automakers and cars coming into the United States from Canada. And he added as well, he said this, which I found very notable, quote, "The only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state," just continuing on with that taunt. But I think the big picture here, Wolf, is that we have seen so much uncertainty. The market had its worst day yesterday that it has had all year. A lot of people wanting to get some reassurance from the president and the White House. This is not doing that. This is only creating far more uncertainty at a time when people are very concerned about the state of the economy.
And the markets are not good so far today in the first couple hours or so since it's open. The Dow Jones, as you can see, bottom right-hand corner of the screen, down 570 points already. Elena, stand by. I want to bring in Vanessa. Vanessa, how else is Wall Street responding this morning? Yesterday was very, very bad. Today looks pretty bad as well.
Yeah, markets open mixed this morning, kind of waiting to see what the president was going to say. We got that answer at 10 a.m. when the president posted on Truth Social that he would be doubling tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. And you see now markets reacting to that news, falling even further. There's a big question here about whether or not we're pointing towards a recession. President Trump said that he could not rule one out, and Goldman Sachs has just increased their recession forecast to 20% from 15%. But just to reassure folks at home, we are not in recession territory just yet. And Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, said that the economy is actually in a good place right now. But there are flashing warning signs right now. We are hearing from major retailers about what the outlook is looking like for consumers for this year. Delta slashing its forecast by about half, and also Kohl's saying that this is going to be a turbulent 2025 for consumers, and you see those stocks reacting right there. Also in the auto industry, President Trump in his post said that he is going to go ahead on April 2nd and put tariffs on any autos coming into the U.S. But the problem is Canadian auto parts and cars are very much intertwined with U.S. manufacturing. Those stocks, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, the big three here in the U.S., are also down this morning on that news, Wolf.
They certainly are. How is Canada so far reacting, Vanessa?
Well, Canada has said that they want to come to the negotiating table and try to work something out. But we heard just moments ago from Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, who reacted to Trump's Truth Social post this morning. Take a listen to what he said.
I apologize to the American people that President Trump decided to have an unprovoked attack on our country, on families, on jobs, and it's unacceptable. I'll talk to the team and we'll make an appropriate response to President Trump. Again, I stress, this is not the American people. Canadians know it. And if we go into a recession, it's self-made by one person. It's called President Trump's recession. which shouldn't be this way. We should be booming, both countries right now.
Now, Wolf, we have been reporting a lot on the trade war with Canada, Mexico, and China, but this is really shaping up to be a global trade war. You heard from the premier right there saying that the recession that could be coming would be self-inflicted. We also heard the same thing from the former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, who said that would also be self-inflicted. Now, the markets this morning have been reacting at every step of the way along this news cycle. It'll be interesting to see if we get any readout from the 5 p.m. business roundtable that the president is holding later today, and whether or not business leaders can try to pull back President Trump from some of these more rash tariff decisions, of course, rattling markets and American consumers who are looking for some certainty right now, Wolf.
We'll see what happens, and we'll monitor what the president has to say later today. He was silent on all of this yesterday. Vanessa Yurkevich and Elena Treen reporting for us. To both of you, thank you.
It's Brianne, CNN's Maddie again with a look at the markets. Quite a change for Trump 2.0. Going back, it wasn't so long ago in his first term where he was touting the market's climbs. Now he seems to be ignoring them, suggesting he doesn't even pay attention, though those around him all say he watches closely. So what's going on, Matt?
Well, Bianna and Zane, as you guys know, CEOs and investors, they really crave stability and clarity, not chaos. Unfortunately, though, they're getting more and more chaos really by the day. You would have thought that after yesterday's steep sell-off where the Dow fell almost 900 points, that perhaps the White House might change its tune on tariffs and this trade war, but that did not happen. Instead, we saw U.S. stocks fall significantly after President Trump announced plans to really escalate further this trade battle with Canada by announcing plans to double the steel and aluminum tariffs to 50% and suggest that more tariffs are on the way. I just got off the phone with market veteran Art Hogan, and he said, look, he said, this is a market that is just blatantly sick and tired of the back and forth on trade policy. And he said it feels as though the administration just continues to move the goalposts. And with all that uncertainty, it's just impossible for investors to have any confidence. And so we are seeing that play out again today, where investors really want to know where this is all going, how long tariffs are going to be in place, how high they're going to go, on which countries and why. And yet it feels like there's another day where we're really left with more questions than answers.
I mean, yeah, there's very little clarity. I mean, we initially thought that these tariffs were going to go into effect on April 2nd. And then Donald Trump now saying that because Ontario essentially imposed taxes or raised taxes on electricity being imported into the U.S., that Donald Trump was now going to, as you point out, double tariffs on steel and aluminum to 50%. And he's saying that these tariffs are going to go into effect as soon as tomorrow. And so given this trade war with Canada really ramping up, my question to you is, how resilient is the U.S. economy? Is it prepared to withstand what's coming down the pike?
Well, we're about to find out just how resilient it is. Thankfully, we're in a situation where the unemployment rate is low. We know that the economy was growing at the end of last year. The jobs market was continuing to add jobs in January and February. So all of that is good, right? We also know that this economy has been very resilient in the past few years. It has survived shock after shock after shock, whether it's a supply chain mess and the inflation crisis and the Fed spiking interest rates. Like each time the economy was able to withstand that pressure. But now there's a new kind of pressure. It's being largely driven by this chaos and policy uncertainty out of Washington. Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, he says that he is increasingly worried about the potential for a recession in the United States this year. Take a listen to what Summers said.
This is pretty much a self-inflicted wound. I think we've got a real possibility of a vicious cycle where weakening economy leads to weaker markets, and then weaker markets lead to a weakening economy. So I'm pretty worried about the whole situation.
No, of course, it's far too early to say that there will be a recession, right? We just don't know that at this point. And it's also worth remembering there have been recession scares in the past that proved to be overblown. And just how the market reaction to the election, to the upside, was probably overdone, right? Investors kept pricing in all of the positives of the Trump agenda, none of the negatives. It's also possible that this market sell-off and this extreme fear we're seeing in the market, that could also be overdone as well. But I think what is clear is that investors really want to see more clarity from the White House on tariffs and this trade war.
Yeah, I mean, the headlines keep coming out of this White House, not even by the day, but by the hour. I mean, this really spooking markets, the fact that the president came out and doubled down on retaliatory tariffs against Canada, set to begin tomorrow. So all of this, as we say, to be continued. You'll be watching the markets for us, though, closely. Matt Egan, thank you.